The Lakers are one of the biggest NBA basketball teams of all time, and they are constantly in the spotlight no matter what they do. Well, stay tuned because today we're going to discuss how the Lakers have not won any of their preseason games. What does this mean for the team moving forward? Let's cover this, some reactions from pros, and more. First up we have, well, what has been going on? So the first thing to cover on this video is what has been going on with the Lakers just recently. Over the past few weeks, we have been seeing the Lakers play their preseason games, getting ready for the next NBA season. These games are quite vital as they are there to show everyone what the team can do and how they may perform under the actual championship situation. The Lakers have basically just formed a new team with some vital team members that, if played correctly, could land them in a great spot throughout this next season. Sadly, the new team hasn't exactly been working out from the public view, and they have just been performing pretty poorly. They so far have gone 0-5 in their preseason games, which is just awful. They have won no games and obviously lost all 5 so far. Whether this is due to the new team layout or even the team being taken over by a few injuries, they are really looking like a shell of their former selves. They were anticipated to be one of the best performing teams this preseason, but it's just not looking great for them. Regardless of all this though, they are still very passionate and patient with their performances and their goals for the season. The squad's still encouraging its players, and even with their losses so far, they are still more than ready to carry on. But why is this? Next we have, is there a reason they are losing? From the outside looking in, what do the Lakers look like they are doing? Well, it looks like they're just not performing well and are taking these losses very well. They are pushing forward through these losses to try and become a better team. One thing they have come out and said already about their new team in their recent matches is that their goal was never to win these preseason games, which is pretty insane. In fact, their main goal was to be able to work better as a team because of the new additions. They need to be perfect, and they know exactly what each player can and can't do. They need to be able to back one another up and play to each other's strengths and of course their weaknesses. This team needs to be performing so well in the next season, so taking a few losses here really isn't much for them. If they can use these games to make sure their team is as tight as ever, it's going to pay itself off and outweigh those few losses in the long run. At the end of the day, it's really about the practice work that we are putting in. These are practice games where you're working on things and you're building rhythm and timing, said Lakers head coach Frank Vogel on Thursday night. That's the biggest thing you can do. Get as much rhythm and timing as you can while remaining healthy. Now, what does this team lack? Now that we know what has been going on and what the team have said about their recent losing streak, what does this team lack that they need to add to their team for the actual games? Well, one thing so many people can agree on is that they need to make progress as a team. It could be through one major way, as people have spotted, which is to turn the ball over less and not foul as often. It's very clear that this team still lacks familiarity as a group of people and that their communication is very subpar. It's a key thing in any team-based sport or activity that you communicate with your team as best as possible. It's understandable that this team won't be playing at its best because these players are all pretty new to one another. They need to quickly improve their communication and their familiarity with each other. It will make a big difference in the long run if they can get these fundamentals down super quickly. Captain of the team LeBron James came out about the idea of communication with his team and had this to say: "I think we built our chemistry as the games went on and on and on. We're starting to learn from each other. We learned from each other every quarter that we were on the floor," James said. "That was the biggest thing that we can build from the games that we played." He is completely correct in this. It's just going to take some time before they are at the top of their game. Next up, what else has the team said about this? Anthony Davis is another member of the Lakers, and he seems to be very optimistic about this upcoming season. But why? He says their offense is really good and was executed perfectly during their games. It makes sense why not everything works perfectly though just yet. They did just add in 9 new players to their team, and asking them to be perfect on the court with one another so quickly isn't feasible at all. Anthony Davis also went on to talk about how he has seen massive improvement already through their filming sessions in the background. He's happy with everything going on and is staying very optimistic. "When we look back at film, we think we played bad, but we actually played pretty well, despite a loss or a win," Davis said. "Every day we go into film, coach showed us positive things. The way we moved the ball, the way we cut, the plays we were making, just playing randomly. And so we're encouraged by everything that we do." It's great to see Anthony Davis and of course LeBron James be so open about their team's progress and not keep it away from those who want to know. They have a lot of eyes on them, so it's best to be clear with everyone and explain exactly how the new team is doing. Their desire is to be the best fast break and defensive team in the entire league, which they can get to that status. It's just going to take a lot more work. In order to achieve this, they really need to get into playing at a specific speed, tempo, and of course being aggressive when they need to be. And of course, as we have already said, they need to be cautious about their fouls and turnovers. They just need to be better. And finally we have the pros said anything about this? So to end off this video, we have a little information coming from a pro player who had some great things to say about what has been going on with the Lakers. What was said then? Russell Westbrook took his own stance on this entire thing, and what he said really makes a lot of sense coming from what we know about the Lakers strategy for these games. He said that he barely even remembers anything about his preseason games, as they don't really matter in the long run. "I've been in the league 13 years. I don't know my preseason record in any of those years," Westbrook said. When asked if going 0-6 in the exhibition slate was something he gave any thought to, so no, it doesn't matter. All they were looking for at the time was progress, and that's the best thing to get out of preseason games. You need to be the best you possibly can before those real games, and the preseason games are a great testing ground for your new team and new ideas for playing on the court together. Westbrook then went on to talk about how they got better with each game, and it was well worth playing these preseason games like that. Each game got them healthier, and before they knew it, they were ready for the real matches later on in the year. Westbrook finally said, "I'm just encouraged by how each game we've gotten a little better, and that's the best way to take it all. At the end of the day, these games are a great way to see what progress the team has already made and how they all work together. Then they can apply all of that to progressing even further and at a good pace. Hopefully their games start going well so they can really show what they have done." And that's the end of the video. The Lakers may be looking like they have had a really bad start to the preseason and to the actual season later on down the line, but in actuality, they're doing just fine. These games are like an in-depth training ground to them, so they should be fine. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on. Thanks for watching. Bye.